interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii by air.
That the Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii from the air.
And hostilities of this kind would naturally mean that the President would ask Congress for a declaration of war.
What this news reporter didn't know was that the U.S. wouldn't just declare war on the Axis powers, but on their own citizens. It is February 19th, 1942. Pearl Harbor was bombed a mere 2 months ago, and the U.S. government has been deciding how to appropriately respond to the issue in the East. But for the last 2 months, Japanese Americans have already been feeling the immediate effects of the attacks in Hawaii. Animosity towards Japanese Americans is steadily increasing, and President Franklin D. Roosevelt just issued an executive order, one that authorizes the deportation of approximately 110,000 Japanese Americans to internment camps across the United States.
I think that was the most difficult part. For people that were raised in the United States, thought they were American citizens, then to be told, you know what, we can't trust you. You've done nothing wrong, but just in case, we're going to put you in concentration camps.
I mean, the government, I think, for the most part, were of two minds. You know, the idiots that work there are usually the ones in control. So their thought was, if we don't round them all up, they're going to send messages back to Japan, and we'll be in trouble. Most of the civilian population, except on the East Coast, were, ambivalent about the whole thing.
Went to school, then my usual friends weren't talking to me. And I went down this long hallway and I said, I wonder what's wrong with me. Those people who even student who walked with me, they were suspect. They were called Jap lovers.
The Tsukamoto and Sato families are just two of the thousands of families being uprooted and shipped to various internment camps. Conditions in the camps are indecent, to say the least. Living spaces are often cramped, unventilated, and exposed to the elements. Bathhouses provide no privacy and are often horribly unsanitary.
I was 5 years old when my family was sent away from our homes and basically put into concentration camps.
And this is where Japanese Americans were essentially incarcerated for the remainder of World War II.
We had 14 tar-papered barracks. The top was all open, all clear down to 120 feet down there. They passed out bags. We found out they were body bags for our mattress. They dumped straw in the middle of each camp, each block, and we filled our own mattress.
Mostly young people and old people got very sick. The death rate in the camps were very high. These were military-style accommodations. So they had, and a room about half the size was what they called a latrine or the bathroom. There were 16 toilets, and they were 8 back to back, 27 inches apart. So if you sat like this, you would touch the person next to you. You had to sit like that. No doors, no stalls.
I happened to be Roger's wife, Mary. I had a personal experience. I had 3 brothers in service, but I had a brother that was a tail gunner, and he was shot down in Okinawa and never survived. But my mother always blamed all of the Japanese. She despised them because they took her son. And about, 30 years later, we were down at the beach and my mother was with us, and I felt her very uncomfortable. And I said, Mom, what's wrong? And she said, he might be washed up on the beach. And so I said, do you want to go back to Sunnyvale? And she said, yes, please, right now. So it hit her in a different way than it hit a lot of people.
I remember my mother saying she couldn't understand why we as loyal Americans were sent away from our homes. We had done nothing. There was never any proof, there was never any indication that a Japanese American or even an Japanese immigrant like my grandparents had participated in any espionage. My father and my mother had to be very careful of even where they stopped to get gas, where they stopped at grocery stores, and in some cases they were not allowed in.
The government is a great propaganda machine. When I was in high school, small high school, 3 floors, and as you go upstairs, you turn right or left and there's a wall, and then you go up and there's another wall. On each of those walls was a Japanese with a bayonet and a baby on the end of the bayonet. That was the kind of propaganda, one example. And they caricatured the Japanese so that they appeared more like simians than humans. I have to remember that culturally they were pretty much the same. I mean, they came here as small children, so for all intents and purposes, they were American.
Even after the interned Japanese Americans were allowed to return home, they still felt the resonating effects of the executive order and would feel it for generations to come.
You know that prejudice is there, deep down. How do we change things?